Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Alien vs. Predator Galaxy YouTube channel. This is Aaron Percival, aka Corporal Hicks, and joining me, as always, are my fellow partners in crime.
Adam Zeller, aka Ridgetop.
Eric Adams, also known as Xenomorphine.
And we're back for another motion tracker video talking about some of the latest happenings in the, I was going to say Alien and Predator universe, but we are specifically talking some Predator Badlands news today. And I guess this is probably our most significant chunk of information that we've actually had come out of it, at least official information. So let's have a look at the article. So this was from a preview of an upcoming Empire magazine coverage of Predator Badlands. It was, when was this? This was end of last week, wasn't it? 15th, yeah. End of last week, this went online, and in it was a behind-the-scenes still from Badlands here, where we see Danny T on the set, and what appears to be the back of a Predator.
Yeah, very interesting. Some are saying that the dreadlocks are like tied in a ponytail there.
Yeah, like a top knot thing. And one person did say on the at least one person did say, oh, maybe it's like a Machiko thing. It could be a human character who's been taken into Predator society, maybe. But those look too predatorish.
They do look far too much like actual dreadlocks. And yeah, you can kind of see it being pulled up into a bit of a ponytail here, sort of towards the top. But the side of it also looks very mottled. You know, it looks more like Predator skin than it looks like the side of a mask or anything. I mean, it's not a lot of detail, and it's not a lot to really go off of. It's just a nice little tantalizing image.
Yeah, it's out of focus from the back. I mean, the camera's really focused on Dan here, but just to get this first glimpse of the Predator up close is cool. We can see there's a bit more of a crown on the tip of the head as well, compared to what we had with Farrell, I believe.
And you get a little glimpse of the armor sort of texture in there, bronzish, kind of looking strap more than anything, really. But who knows at this point? But that's not the fun part about this news, is it? Or should I say the interesting part? Because the quote here, Adam, are you feeling up to reading that?
Why don't you? My voice is still in recovery.
Okay.
Why don't you read it?
So the creature is front and center, leading the charge. He's still a badass, but there's something that touches you emotionally too. Creating a character you connect with, but are also super intimidated by, has been challenging, but exciting. The idea, he says, comes from a desire to find another essential piece of cinema that does what Prey did spiritually, pushing the franchise's boundaries, letting us root for a hero we rarely get to root for, but in a different way. And that transformed into this big idea of rooting for the Predator. Finally, the ugly mother effer's day has come. So, a Predator protagonist. Who wants to lead us off on this one?
Why don't you go for it, Eric?
No, Adam, you go for it because I might rant otherwise.
So I really like this idea. You know me, I've never been as against the team ups as a lot of people are, but that's not what's necessarily being said here. It might not be that. But Aaron, we know that there's been a long time complaint that these things have kind of a formula where the predator shows up, kills a bunch of people, and then one person rises and takes out the predator. The predator is always losing, the predator is always dying, which sometimes when it happens that often feels like it takes something away from, like, this is the ultimate hunter who can't be beaten, yet every time we see him he is. So yeah, I mean, even if he is beaten in this, if it's not in the usual way, just to see one as a protagonist, I think is a really cool concept. I feel like with Prey, yeah, it was very unique in a lot of ways, but for me, it was a very back to basics Predator movie that really worked. And it looks like this is the time where Dan is going to have more of an opportunity to play around a bit and try something different.
Sounds like it's rubbed Eric the wrong way, though.
Well, I mean, look at the quote letting us root for a hero we rarely get to root for, but in a different way. And that transforms into this big idea of rooting for the predator. This is not the predator ideally sits in that niche of anti-hero, like Judge Dredd, Boba Fett. That's how the Mandalorian TV show started. It came right out of the gate. He just, I can bring you in dead, I can bring you in warm, I can bring you in cold kind of thing. Very unfeeling kind of thing. That kind of suits the predator. We've had that on screen in the first AVP film. There was a definite section on the forums of fans who wanted Scar to just outright kill Lex because that did not sit well with them at all. I was fine with it. In the same way I was fine with the original AVP script because it was a team up out of necessity. That's where the Predator fits fine. Here we have Trachtenberg outright saying hero. It's a character to root for, front and center. That is very different. I'm rather concerned with this because firstly, the front and center thing, that does imply it's going to get a lot of screen time. Predator works best in, small doses because they're all the more meaningful for it. If it's just going to be kind of like standing around all the time or even engaging in conversation, I don't know about that. It's going to feel a bit. But regardless of that, heroic. Now, you had Feral in Prey. That was killing trappers. They were considered, like you could say, they were the villainous element of the film. But I never considered Feral to be heroic. Wasn't a hero. He was just going, they're targets of opportunity. They're bigger bragging rights. And it still went after Naru. Still went after her, all the good guy characters was still going after them. It was Feral was a force of nature. You could say, hence the name Feral. This, if he's misspoken, he could have misspoken. And it is just the Predator is out of necessity going, okay, I need you to help me with what I'm doing here. I'm going after something else. That's fine. If it's that the lead human character will try and coerce, manipulate the predator, or maybe predators, who knows, into going after something else, that's fine. But if it is the predator acting as, Predator's not Venom, the Predator is Spider-Man. The Predator's not Thing, the Predator is Superman. If the Predator is being a literal hero, I don't think it's going to work well. It worked well in Terminator 2 because the Terminator is right from the first film, you had that whole thing from Kyle Reese, it cannot be reasoned with. It's an unthinking machine. It would just carry out mission objectives. So when you see Terminator 2, you buy it. You go, oh, that's just new mission directive. It's going to protect John. You buy it because it just cares about directive. Yeah. When you get other characters who turn from outright villain into hero, they do feel devalued. And I fear that could be what happens here.
But do you think people who hadn't seen Terminator 2 at the time would have had that same fear? Because I think so much of this is how
we didn't have the internet.
Yeah, but I think if you would have told someone who's a fan of Terminator 1, oh, Arnold's a good guy this time, they would be like, what? That might not work, So I
think that
you might. Yeah, you might. But I'm saying is when you got to see it, it worked because the Terminator is just a machine. It doesn't care. Predators are characterized by sadism and need to hunt to kill.
I mean, Predator, again, this goes into the expanded universe. Predators are way more dynamic than a slasher movie villain like Michael Myers or Jason Voorhees. And I feel like there's so much, there's so many possibilities with the character that to me, it pigeonholes them too much if it's just, right, this is the big bad alien who wants to kill and that's it. Like, I think there's so many other potential stories you can tell with this character. Yeah, hunting is a fundamental part of their culture, and that's always going to be a thing. But I don't know. This just has me really intrigued. I think, like anything else, it depends on execution. It depends on how it's done. But I remember when I was at the Prey premiere and the whole theater was silent until that scene in the burnt glade where Farrell started killing all the trappers, and everybody was cheering. And I have to wonder if maybe that had an effect on Dan. Like, wow, people are really cheering for this monster killing everybody here. So yeah, I think it depends on how it's done. I don't think the Predator will be striking superhero poses or anything. Like,
No.
I think, and he even mentions he still wants it to be super intimidating there. And
Yeah.
we could have multiple Predators. We could have one that has more of a villainous role, or we could have something where there's a human group or organization that's playing the villain. I think it just depends how it's done. I think people always like to point
again,
to
you're talking
AVP about how bad team ups can be, but I'm like, just because we've seen them not work before, which they have worked for me, but that doesn't mean they could never work. If it isn't even team up, it might not even be a team up.
Yeah, but we're getting, again, that's why I said, if this is actually not hero, if this is anti-hero, if it's doing it out of necessity, that's great, that's fine. But this quote makes me worry because he's talking about straight up hero, and we are going to root for the Predator. That makes me think, is it anti-hero or is it something else? And yes, the EU has it, but I mean, me and Aaron are kind of bonded by that. We don't like Steve Perry's Space Samurai thing. And you got a lot of, more of a heroic Predator in that kind of stuff, rather than, the first AVP story where it was he had a bigger threat to be dealing with, so he didn't mind working with Machiko. But you always have this thing, they're going to take a human skull just as much as whatever else they're hunting. So if it's that kind of Boba Fett deal, great. But if it is an actual hero, if it is front and center, as he said in that quote, if it is you're going to root for the Predator over the human character, maybe that's where I start to worry.
I think, and again, like, there's a story I'm reminded of, like Peter Briggs's story in the last Predator anthology book, Eyes of the Demon, where it focuses on a Predator scientist. And she is very much in a heroic role in that one, I would say. I mean, she still messes people up plenty, but oh, come on. Yeah, she is, Aaron.
It's not heroic. It's... I get where it's coming from here, because I think the same in terms of it can't be a hero. It can't be a quotation marks good Predator. It can be, and I think you're off the mark here, because in Little Miss Nightmare, Peter Briggs' story was, it's parallel objectives, which I think is what Badlands should do. It should be parallel objectives. In Little Miss Nightmare, it's the law enforcement trying to track down a terrorist, because terrorists are bad guys.
Yeah,
and
that's what heroes go after.
from the Predator's point of view, it's an anomaly within the social construct of mankind. It's not a this woman is offending my sensitive morals or whatever.
Bro, the Predator surfs the internet and hunts a bad terrorist bomber lady. She's a hero in that story. I'm sorry, you can try and like twist it all you want, but that's how she's presented.
No, because the scientist is more than just that. She's a social scientist observing prey. It's not a straightforward, oh god, this woman needs stopping kind of thing.
I just think,
at least that's my memory of that book.
I just
was
think
not
the Predator
so straightforward.
Can be a dynamic character.
It can be.
It doesn't always have to be put in this role as the villain. And if he's going to try something where it's not, I'm super intrigued. I mean, yeah, it all comes down to execution, right? It could
everything always does.
It could be eye rolling.
I mean,
like here's
the whole concept.
I'm just going to say, here's a simple example. We've got one, the second Predator film, Predator 2. It starts out and in fact continues throughout the film. It is going after a narcotics drug gang, a voodoo gang. Do we think of City Hunter in Predator 2 as a heroic predator? No. That's what I'm saying. It can do, by human perception, heroic things or whatever, and it can go after bad guys. but that's different to being a good guy. That's what I'm saying.
Mhm.
Here, he
And-
is absolutely saying hero, and we are going to root for the predator. That's
I think we've changed as an audience though, because Adam mentions the cheering in the Glades, and yes, that's fucking cool. But I can't imagine people are cheering because, yay, he's being the good guy, he's taking out the villains of the film. It's the Predator's being fucking cool, doing awesome kills and showing off his gadgetry and stuff like that. This is awesome. I want to see more of that. But that's where I think like the parallel sort of objectives come into play. If they both have the same, if the Predator and Ellie Fanning's character both have the same adversary for different or similar reasons, but they're both going after the same target, that's where you get this. They're both trying to achieve the same or similar things. That's where I think it works best. But like, I mean, Adam says, yeah, it always comes down to execution. You know, the Anderson's AVP movie, I hate the team up in that. I absolutely fucking hate it because Lex does not earn Scar's respect in it. Whereas, you know, in the original comic, Machiko does very, very easily. And we're reading Deadliest of the Species at the minute. And I know that comic has a terrible reputation, but the early parts of that, I'm very much fucking enjoying this relationship that Big Mama has with uh, Karen and Ash Parnell / Ash Parnell that's going off in there. And that's intriguing to me. That is not annoying me. So, yes, everything always comes down to the execution. And that's kind of stupid to say because it's so obvious a thing. Of course, it comes down to execution. The stupidest ideas could be amazing if done by somebody with flair and intelligence and stuff like that. But you know, I do get Eric's worry. I worry the same. I do think it has to be something more morally grey from our perspective, from a human perspective. Otherwise, it isn't.
yeah. I think I'm just saying it's concerning to me, but it's not a massive worry because I really liked Prey. So we've seen what this director can do. So I still have hope. I'm just saying, based just on this quote, and this is all we've got to go on. That's why I'm a little bit worried from a narrative point of view. But yeah, absolutely. I'm going to wait and see. All depends how it's done in execution. Absolutely.
It is certainly intriguing as well, though, because this is something different. And I think it's very much a reaction to the people complaining that the feral predator doesn't win at the end of Prey. You know, in all the other Predator films, I suppose, apart from the Predator to some extent, you know, the predators are the antagonists. They are the villains of these stories. And if Badlands turns that on its head and there's some other element that's the villain and the predator's also caught up, you know, that's an interesting twist and an interesting dynamic for them to play with, and it allows them to address that complaint of the predator never wins. Because if it's not strictly the villain, if it is an anti-hero kind of role or a hero kind of role in it, it does give us a more solid chance of the predator coming out victorious. I would be surprised if the predator dies in this film. I genuinely think it is that much of a reaction to those complaints from Prey.
And again, there could be more than one predator at play here.
Yeah, there could be a bad. I think there could potentially be a bad predator as well as this hero predator. Maybe that's the parallel objective, but in that regard, I also don't want to see them do Bad Blood again because it's been done. As much as I love Predators, it wasn't done right in Predators. It didn't get the chance to really be done properly. The Predator dropped that ball as well because that film is a mess, and we all know that that production was a mess. So I kind of don't want to see them playing that sandpit again.
I think the AVP Rage War trilogy also handled this well in terms of having the predators as an antagonistic force, but also having other predators that are like in a more heroic role, if you want to call it that. But yeah, I mean, maybe this is the the clan from the Predator that upgrades themselves that the Predator's going after. Maybe it'll directly tie into that movie. No, it won't.
God, I hope not. We ignore the Predator. That does not exist, remember. And according to Peter Briggs, again referencing Little Miss Nightmare, when they all wiped out, wasn't that clan obliterated?
Oh, did they mention that there? I'll
Yeah,
have to read that story again.
she talks about a clan that's genetically manipulated itself, and there was a big war that went on about it and stuff like that. I'm sure she said those were wiped out. Fingers crossed.
Well, we won't have to wait too much longer to hopefully get a bit more from this magazine because it drops in a couple days.
On Thursday. So hopefully, yes, this isn't the extent of the coverage in that issue, because I'm kind of worried because it sounds like there's a lot of firsts coming out of this. So it's how much are they throwing at everybody? How much extra is there going to be? We'll find out soon. But yeah, I think that's everything
so far.
Yep. Okay.
Oh no, we got that animated news.
I don't think
Michael Biehn.
No, we need to post a news article on that. Is what I meant when I was asking. Should we bring that up? But I suppose we could just briefly mention it. It appears that Michael Biehn is going to voice a character in the animated Predator anthology thing. He mentioned that. He didn't come out and say it, but he pretty heavily implied it.
He did, because he said, "Oh, I don't know if they'll replace me because that happens with voice actors," didn't he? He said something like that. So pretty much,
likely.
Yeah,
it seems likely, and it's fucking cool, and it's good to see Michael Biehn make a return to science fiction over this last decade.
Well,
really, it seems like
not just that, but it will mean we now have Hicks and Hudson in Predator lore.
But they did offer him a role in AVPR, if I remember rightly, as one of the seals at the end of the film.
Yes.
But yeah. As of in a couple of days, as well, I'm going to be posting a new video on the YouTube channel. So check back in on Thursday or Friday to see if that's gone up. If you know me, you know what it's likely to be coverage of. It's an interesting, intriguing could have been of the Alien series, one that's not really touched on very often. So naturally, it's even more interesting to me and makes me go out and hunt down people to tell me more about them. I'm looking forward to releasing this one. I think I did a good job on it. So
you got some exclusive quotes on it as well.
Yeah, some new deets, and I think it'd be the best we get on this until the thing in particular leaks. But check back in, like I said, on Thursday or Friday to see that. And if you haven't already, go and check Adam's impressions and his hands-on of Alien Rogue Incursion. He also did a fucking good job on that, if I do say so myself.
Oh, thanks,
so
man.
Go and give that a go. And to be fair, actually, I think after this, I'm going to go play on the Quest. I just brought the Starship Troopers game, so I want to go give that a go. I haven't tried it yet. But yeah. Adam, do you want to hold the socials?
Sure. So you can find us on all the major social channels: Facebook, X, Instagram, and now Threads and Blue Sky. We're on as well. We also have a Discord and a Steam group if you're into those. Big thank you, as usual, to our Patreon supporters. If you want to support what we do here at AVP Galaxy, check us out at patreon.com/AVP Galaxy. And you can always find us on our main hub of activity, our website, avpgalaxy.net.
Indeed. And how is everybody else out there feeling about this news? Because I saw a lot of excitement to start with, and then it just turned sour. So I'm kind of curious as to what the discourse is on that. So sound off in the comments. Let us know. Are you hesitant, or are you ready for Super Predator like Adam is? Let us know. This has been Corporal Hicks.
Bridgetop.
Xenomorphine.
Signing off. Or getting to the chopper. This is a Predator one, so getting to the chopper.